Hello, Thrive Loud listeners. At Thrive Loud, we are always connecting you, the listener, with amazing leaders that are thriving in their lives, their businesses, and their passions. We also have had hundreds of thriving women that have been featured on this podcast. Continuing this important effort, Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, Success.com, and Clubhouse have joined together to create a special series called Elevating the Brilliant Minds of Women. You'll get a chance to learn about these incredible initiatives of women across the globe, hear about how they are thriving, and how you can connect with them today. Enjoy this amazing conversation, and after the episode, learn more about this powerful initiative.
Fasten all seatbelts, seal all entrances and exits, close all shops in the mall, cancel the three-ring circus, secure all animals in the zoo. Nothing you have ever witnessed will prepare you for the absolute carnage you're about to witness. It's Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have a woman that has survived just about everything. She's birthed five amazing humans and has been coaching, consulting, or mentoring for over 24 years. No way. She looks so young. That can't be true. We're going to have to check the facts on that. Fact check. I think the title of her book pretty much wraps up what this episode is going to be heading down. Everything I know, I learned from my pimp. That's going to set the stage for what we're going to have an incredible conversation here today, continuing to elevate the brilliant minds of women. Thrive Loud listeners, Jes Richardson. Hello, Jes. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. We're going to have some fun.
So I heard Jes and I connected in Clubhouse, as many of these people who are all part of this elevating the brilliant minds of women that we're doing with Success.com and Thrive Loud. And she is amazing. And I could not get over her story. I literally dug deep and heard all of it, even read through a chapter of her book or whatever she read on her video. And what you heard, everything I know, I learned from my pimp. Can you share? I want to do a little rewind here. I want to go back to what you've survived, because you have survived just about everything. I want to get through the tough part first, and then I want to spin it to the fun part, because I think resilience might be labeled next to you on the dictionary if we look up your name. So can you share your story with the listeners?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the fun stuff. And I really want to give you and the listeners permission to laugh, because I laugh about my story because sometimes I joke with my husband that I feel like I channel Alanis Morissette. Like, everything is ironic. I look like a soccer mom. I've driven a white minivan most of my life. And yet my story is nothing like that. So very bullet pointed. I was sexually abused when I was young by my neighbors. My dad ended up being murdered when I was 10. I started running away from home at 14. I was raped into a gang at 16. And ended up seeing one of my main dealers. And honestly, the benefits of the gang were really huge as well, because I know it sounds crazy, but it's not, because here I was at like 16 years old, blonde and blue, this like adorable 16-year-old. It's the mid-90s. I'm really glad cell phone cameras didn't exist. But I was like selling cocaine on the corner. And I would realize that my clients, like, they looked like they were way older than they really were. And as I got to know them, I was like, man, some drugs are really bad. So that was like a really defining moment for me, because it made me stay away from certain drugs just by being able to learn through other people. And so that is interesting. But then I ended up seeing my main dealer get his head blown off in a drive-by. And I was sitting on the porch, and like, I didn't even skip a beat. You know, I'm 16, I'm smoking a cigarette, smoking a bowl, sitting on the porch, watch this go down. And I'm like, I'm probably not safe. And so, right, exactly. This is not what healthy looks like. And so having 5 children, I had to really learn a lot what normal child development looks like, because I had no clue.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit this point. First of all, where did you grow up? Where did this take place?
The western region of North America. I have traveled. My parents were hippies, so we just I was epitome of white trash. Travel trailer, going wherever the wind blew, and was also raised in like a Christian cult. So we were always looking for purity or something. I don't know.
Okay, so literally going from one extreme at that young age to this is look, to our listeners, we can laugh about it, but this is pretty troubling stuff. Anyway, you would go
Absolutely.
through it, and very traumatic. Anyway, we can deal with it. I mean, at
Right.
that young age, to just be exposed to that much at that young age is got to be so surreal. But there's something in there that you just mentioned, that even seeing something that tragic and knowing that you weren't that safe, how did you get from that world and start to make the move to get away from it?
Oh, well, that I haven't even been trafficked yet. So it gets
There's
better.
so much more to the story.
Right.
Okay.
So
I apologize.
I know that seems crazy. But wait, there's more. And I like forever, I need to do ShamWow commercials. But I end up running for it that day. And I end up working in a restaurant, and I was managing the restaurant within just a couple months. My family had restaurants, and this guy started coming in, and he was like an older guy, and he actually listened to me, like really listened. And he asked me one day, if you're already having sex, why wouldn't you want to get paid? And I was like, shit, you can do that? Like, I've been giving it away this whole time. And I had no clue that you could actually get paid for it. And my very first trick or person who picked me up, he ran me over as he tried to steal my purse. And that was obviously just another traumatic event. But I want everyone to really understand that I've always just put one foot in front of the other. I didn't know my life was any different than anyone else's, because you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And so every day I wake up just like everyone else and run to the bathroom and grab a cup of coffee. Like this, I'm just doing me to the best that I know how. And so even in these most traumatic situations, that was my comfort zone. That was my reality. And it would have felt really weird waking up in a suburban middle-class household. Like that would have been bizarre for me, and still is kind of perplexing. Like I'm like not sure about how that goes down. But I ended up being trafficked for 14 to 15 months, also into Canada. So I crossed international.
You were internationally trafficked.
Right. I get so many perks, all the check boxes, I get them. And so this is where it gets really fun. So I had these 2 really severe beatings where one was kidnapped, and it broke my trust of my pimp. And I was like, okay, he can't save me. And the second time was in Canada, where I got jumped, and I literally got spit on coming back through the border because I was completely black and blue purple. My face got caved in. And the customs just didn't. I was like, if there's ever a time for someone to help me, it'd be right now. And they just spit on me and sent me through. And so I ended up working in Seattle. And this is where it bridges to the good stuff. I started.
Tell me how that wasn't the good stuff from the beginning.
This is where it gets really fun. I started doling out money to my pimp throughout the day, and I was hiding in the law library in Seattle, which had to be a sight in and of itself, dressed completely like a 90s whore, because that's what trafficking is. You're selling sex. You got to play the part. And I was studying the laws, and that was actually how I escaped. I ended up making a deal with a woman who ran an escort service that was about to go down. She was about to be busted by law enforcement for the 3rd time. She helped me get away from him in exchange for me rebuilding her business. And we ended up scaling to one of the largest escort services on the West Coast, and she retired in 3 years. So that is where the coaching comes in for 24 years, because I started business turnaround ultimately to save my life, and have since been doing it ever since.
Wow. For our listeners, I know you're loving this, and here my head is exploding with questions.
Okay.
Let's just talk about some of the other things. Obviously, were you at this point still partying, so to speak, or doing drugs and everything at that point, or did it stop at a certain point?
No, it did not stop until I was. So there's a difference in the sex industry. Sex industry is huge. People are there for lots of different reasons. Some are trafficked, some are exploited, some are doing it for survival. At that point, I was an independent sex worker and partying to my highest level of self and having a great time doing it. So that was actually a time of really strong empowerment. It was when I woke up pregnant that I decided to change everything. And I quit everything in one day and have never looked back. She's 20 years old now.
So you quit then, and obviously then you focused on this amazing business of helping people turn around stuff, which is entrepreneurial. What was your first non-sex industry related client?
Roofing company.
A roofing company.
Yeah.
Did they ask you for reference?
No, because they historically, now here's the fun part. When businesses of any sort are going down, they're typically the owner, founder, CEO, they're like drunk and hooked on drugs. And so it's really, they just want results. And
right.
So because I work at the intersections of relationships, business, family, normally when there's problems in one area, there's problems in all the areas. And I really specialize in really complex people problems and then systems building.
You've got a 20-year-old child. I'm now rewinding. You've got now you're a parent, living in Seattle at this point, correct?
Yes.
Or still?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm still in Seattle.
When did you, or where did you begin to then settle down? Obviously you made that change, you're pregnant, and now you're being a mom and dealing with all that, which by the way, now has shown you really survived everything. Motherhood at that particular age would be the least challenging thing that you've ever had to deal with.
Right. And it was the thing I was least prepared for. Like I had no clue what to do with a human. I never really, I babysat once and I left the baby unattended. Like I left and went to a party when I was like 13. Like I was the least qualified parenting person in the world. And it started me on this journey. Okay, so here's where things really went down. I'm 21 years old. My daughter is maybe a year old, and I am working selling long-term care and annuities. So in an insurance office, sales environment. And I have always done well in commission-only sales because that's what trafficking teaches you. You don't make your quota, you die, or someone else does. So like that's a great way to learn sales, boots on the ground.
So true.
But I had this epiphany. So here I am, I'm like 280 pounds, completely miserable, hiding behind the fat because I had done porn and didn't want to be recognized. So I'm just like completely hiding in my cubicle and building sales systems because I refused to go out in the field to do sales work. And I had this epiphany where who I was right then was only going to be magnified by 100 by the time I turned 70. You know, elderly people are either really cool or totally assholes. One or the other. There's no in between. And right. So I crawled. So you know that when you cold call 400 seniors a day and you'll figure it out real quick. So I literally crawled under my desk and I just snot bubble cried. And my deepest fantasy at that point was to become a serial killer because I was, and I'm not kidding, homicidal tendencies, fight, flight, or freeze. I am all fight. And I made the decision that I wanted to be able to look in the mirror and say, Jess, I love you. I care for you. You're special. You're valuable. And I wanted to be able to sleep at night without night terrors, but I had made every single counselor just snot bubble cry. No one could help me. They said I would always be fucked up. And so I literally just went into a library and started reading every book and experimenting. And so until from 2021 till 40, I just did nothing but experimenting. And there is not a lack of people who are like, when you have a lot of trauma, they're like, yeah, I want help. And I'm like, I've got this thing that I'm trying and it works for me. You want to give it a whirl? And you do that enough with enough people over time, you start to really develop patterns and you see things. And I have my own tools that I use for myself, but over the years I've developed, hundreds of other tools that help with different personalities, different types of people, different types of trauma. So
tell me about, you mentioned you have 5 kids. How did we get to kids 2 through 5?
Right. Okay. This is where it gets really fun. I end up meeting another guy who says the same kind of things, but he was totally different. He was in a lot of ways just as fucked up as I was, but totally different. And him and I became best friends. We got married after 7 months of knowing each other. And we actually just celebrated our 17th anniversary. And we had 4 more kids together and have really been on this journey. We work together. We really just do a lot of things all the way through together. We have different gifts, different skills. So,
yeah, I want to ask this question because I know most of the listeners right now are doing this. Jes, how are you as a mom?
I didn't think you'd make me cry. That is the thing that I am most proud of, because we didn't know how to parent. We didn't know how to do anything. And it was when I was doing work with specifically trafficking survivors that I realized I was treating everyone else better than I was my own family. And it was about 14, 15 years ago that I had this huge break in me that I just was going to apply the same principles that I used with my survivors for my family and my children. And we reinvented our entire family and how we function. So we homeschool, but we don't really homeschool. We call it life school. Our children do everything with us. And it has been, that in itself has been a wild journey, because we just learned how to create curiosity and fun around learning. And then we do everything together as a unit. So our oldest is out of the house. We still have 4 at home that are 10, 12, 14, and 15. And we like each other, like more than love each other. We like each other. And they're my greatest joy, my greatest coaches. Like, they have taught me more than anyone else ever could, partly because they reflect me.
Jes, do you realize what a walking miracle you are? That you've, as you just mentioned this, I'm not going to laundry list it, but for all the things you've survived at such a young age, and so many of these things, if you just said you've survived just about everything and continue to thrive each and every day in your work, in your family, in the way you're helping and consulting and helping people, taking these stuff, talk about the definition of making lemons into lemonade, turning lemons into lemonade. I'd argue you turned it into Mike's Hard Lemonade. You made it into an absolute joy within that. Do you appreciate it, that how fortunate you are?
I live in a constant state of gratitude, but probably not, because just like I started this off with, I just put one foot in front of the other every day. And so you don't know what you don't know. And this is the only life I've ever, this is my current reality. And I only compete with me, and I'm a better version of me every day. And it's baby steps over, this is 20 years of work. It's fun. It's fun to change.
He's so funny. Jes came in before we started recording. He goes, I want to laugh. I want to make everybody laugh on this thing. And all I've been doing is making her eyes well up. So, which is good.
This is laughter to me, like this, yes. Because it's the depth. The depth and the nuances is where the freedom really lies. That's the difference between like healing and a breakthrough. Healing is doing that work where you can tell your stories. But a breakthrough is when you can have this paradigm shift where you saw the world one way and now it's suddenly a different way. And when you have those, all of a sudden it's like, ta-da! The whole world is magnificent because you know something that maybe you were beating yourself up for prior. And it just changes everything in an instant. And those are fun.
To someone that has survived what you have survived, all of the details you provided our listeners, your entire life of all these things, from drug, from trafficking, from high-end escorts to lower-end escorts, to any way you deal with this, knowing there is still a ridiculous amount of people going through the exact same things. How do you react, deal with, parent around those issues, knowing that that's the stuff that you magically survive through putting your one foot in front of the other? What's your perception of that world right now today?
We have to quit coddling people. We are so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. And there's two things that I can't work with, no matter what. I fire clients over this shit. It's entitlement or an unteachable spirit. And those are things that when it eats your soul, and we all have it. Like, I've had it at times. We've all had it. Like, it's part of the human experience. But shit, I don't even remember what the question was.
It wasn't that important. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
The question was your view, whether as a mom or with all the stuff in the world that's going on, of all the people that are still going through the stuff that you went through, because it's still a problem today, and in so many different ways, and you survived it. And obviously, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want to recommend it to anybody, even though you have.
Right.
Call me crazy.
To me, it's the nuances that happen, because like, there's this whole rescue movement, like within the anti-trafficking, and it causes so much more harm than good all the way through, because it creates entitlement. Rescuing is for animals. Like, people need to be empowered to make better choices. If someone would have rescued me out of those situations, I would have been like, fuck you. You don't know, like, you can't just take me from what my comfort zone is into something else. And so really, I talk a lot about the sex industry. What we need is law enforcement on the right side, because it doesn't matter whether you're trafficked or however you're there, whether you're an empowered sex worker, and anyone in between, they're going to arrest you. You can't get help, like, until, and my one arrest, the cop had sex with me while I was trafficked, and the condom was used as evidence against me. And so we have, like, major problems. Right. Exactly. Double check.
That just made my head swivel, listeners. Wow.
Yeah. We have a problem.
We don't need
with
to be
stigma.
coddled. I love this. Hold on. This is why you thrive loud, Jess. Okay. We don't need to be coddled. We don't need a sob story about this. We want to embrace the story that we have and move forward each and every day, which is why you truly do thrive loud, which is what we say here on this program, which is freaking badass. Let alone what you said at the top of the show, which is still having me laugh and smile. What I want to know from you is, in helping, when you see others that are struggling and might be feeling a little down and depressed compared to what you've been through, it almost feels like nothing. Like, literally, the fact that, you even at being a single mom at 20 or whatever it was like literally a layup compared to half the shit that you had beforehand. Is there almost this value of perspective that almost makes you like put people in the mindset, hey, come on, hear my story, and I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't feel you should worry about all this. Do you think that's some of your mojo that you communicate?
Yes, absolutely. Because the ultimate question to me is always, and what are you going to do about it? Because everyone has some kind of pity party story that's playing in their head. I have those too. And I just get up, I look in the mirror, and I get right in my face, and I'm like, and what are you going to do about that? And so you can't change what has happened. You can only change your reality, your response to it. And so many times we think that we have to respond fast and we have to just hurry, that really, if we would just take a step back, take a few breaths, and really just go like, okay, how do I handle this? And it doesn't matter what it is, whether, it's a carton of eggs on the floor or a car accident, just how do I respond? Those 5 seconds can change everything. And learning that control was mind bending for me.
Jes, I love asking guests this question, and you've been listening to episodes of the show, so you know where this is going. To say that you've had many hard days in your life is an understatement, but obviously, as we look now as how you handle things, you have a great perspective of stuff. But on most days, you are today thriving. But on some days when you're not quite kicking on all cylinders and you're a little off your game, what practice do you seek, or what individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
It depends what I need. Sometimes it is to crawl in bed, eat ice cream, and watch Ancient Aliens. Other days, because I like to work. And so sometimes I just need to quit working. Other times it is playing chess with my kids. We ride scooters, like kick scooters, like you have to use your physical body. So yeah. I'll go out on a hard ride and really get some energy out. It's really just being aware of what I need right then. Am I tired? Am I hungry? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Like those are all legitimate questions. So like check in with myself and then do exactly what I need.
Love it. Let's do the admin part of the show. Jes, share with the listeners all the places people can find you, your book, your websites, your whatever the heck you want to promote, your courses, everything you got going on. We will put it in the show notes, but it always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Fabulous. Well, my book, you can just Google. It's Everything I Know I Learned from My Pimp. The only place you can get it is through my website, because I'm experimenting with a new style of publishing, and it is proven to be wildly successful and tons of fun. So just Google it. You can get it through my website. And then I am Sassy Jes, spelled wrong, SASYJES. On every platform.
Was that because the other Sassy was taken?
Yes. When I did my marketing like 10, 12 years ago, I just got Sassy Jes on every platform, and it made it easy. So I'm just like, yes, 3 letters.
Perfect. Oh, it's true. And it's only one S too, or 2 S's really, but just not right together.
Right.
All right. We've already been having fun the whole time, but now I really want to have fun.
I'm ready.
Jes, we're going to go down Fun Street. We're going to start off with your favorite movie. Can you share with the listeners one of your all-time favorite movies?
Rocky, the whole series.
The
whole series. It's a part of our homeschooling. Like you have to know how to be the underdog and to really have diligence.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned the real series. By the way, so those who've listened to this show for all 600 some odd crazy episodes that we've done of this program know that my favorite movie is Rocky. And although you're right that I've seen every one of the series, although they should delete 5 from the entire rotation because that didn't happen. It didn't really happen.
Right.
But the one that happened when they brought the Rocky Balboa series back when he was older, and the whole keep moving forward. Life is hard and will knock you down. Nothing will hit you harder than life. But if you can stand up and get up and keep moving forward, that's what winners do. That is what you do.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And that is like, literally like, I'm going to send you that clip because I have it somewhere on my computer locally because it's that inspiring with it. So yeah.
I love that clip. Also in the Adrian, Reed and I are like Rocky and Adrian so many times. You got gaps and I got gaps, and together we fill the gaps.
That's true.
That having a team has been critical. I could not have done any of this without Reed. Like he has been my road buddy all the way through. And I feel very fortunate to have found someone who just loves me unconditionally through all the changes. That is unique.
So we're going to do the speed round of Fun Street here.
I'm ready.
And you know how the show goes. I might throw in a couple of variables to the end of this conversation of the speed round, but here's how it goes. I'm going to ask you something. I want you to bring the first thing that comes to your mind. These are things that lift you up, make you feel good, motivate you, make you thrive. Okay?
I'm ready.
All right. A song that you love to hear or that pumps you up.
Baby Got Back.
A favorite food that's not a dessert.
Thai curry.
A favorite dessert.
Cheesecake.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Jumping on trampolines.
An activity you wish you did less of.
I don't have any. I don't do them. I refuse.
Okay. I like that. An activity you wish you did. You don't do them. I love that. If I snap my fingers and you can be anywhere in the world, where are you?
Right here, right now.
Somehow I knew that answer was coming where it was going. Out of all of the business lessons that you learned from your pimp, what was the one specific business lesson that has been the most effective or most useful for you in your career?
Two came to mind really quick. It was one, don't be a little bitch. And then the second is, it's just numbers. Keep going.
Those have so much more resonance when they come from that component. I love that.
It's really that simple.
Last speed. It's not a speed question. It's I want to know what's next. What's next for Jes Richardson? What's next on your list?
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Okay. I have been working on my own business and really just stepping into who I am for the last 2 years, kind of enjoying the journey. And I think I'm probably a couple weeks out from being done with my big master plan to take over the world. Ha 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 ha.
Look out, world. Here she comes.
It was what I've been asking the question, what am I going to do with the next 40 years? And it's really publishing more of my no bullshit programs and doing less of the coaching and consulting. So if you want in now on that, do it now, because I'm going towards just programs and really having fun and playing more. I've worked too hard. It's time to live it up.
Jes Richardson, Sassy Jes with one S, just not right together. Thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud. Thank you for sharing your story. And let me tell you, when I first connected with you in Clubhouse and I started hearing little blips and blurbs of your story and then looked it up, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be fucking fun. But I had no idea actually how powerful it really was. As you were telling all this stuff, not only as you were feeling it yourself, but I think it's really important. Perspective is something you have better than most, but the one foot in front of the other, which is so important for everyone to just know. Thank you for sharing that today here at Thrive Loud. And thank you for keep doing what you're doing, because you're elevating more than brilliant minds of women. You're elevating and taking over the world, as you were saying.
Thank you so much for having me.
Truly a pleasure. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Thanks for listening to this special episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, brought to you by Success.com and Thrive Loud. To learn more about this great program and elevating the brilliant minds of women, head on over to thriveloud.com or Success.com. And make sure to follow Lou at Thrive Loud everywhere on social media to learn more about this special series. Thanks for listening.